The camera. It's our instrument to visually bring an audience to a world they otherwise may never see. To capture moments in time, to bring a story to life. But the camera is only a piece of the puzzle to bring that story to the screen. Hey everyone, my name is Tyler Edwards. I'm a filmmaker based out of Colorado, and this is part 6 of a video series I've created called Before You Upgrade Your Camera. And the premise of this whole series is to just talk about things to consider investing in or upgrading before upgrading to that new exciting camera that was just released. And so far in this series, I've covered topics such as lights, light stands, light modifiers, and audio. And in the most recent video, I talked about lenses. And in that video, I briefly covered topics such as primes versus zooms, cinema versus stills lenses, and modern versus vintage glass. And with the help of Matteo Bertoli, talked about why lenses are really a good investment for filmmakers. So in this video, I wanted to kind of carry on the topic of lenses and talk about the follow focus. Now, as with all my other videos in this series, this is more of just a primer on the topic. This is definitely not the be-all end-all. This is not the only encyclopedia on the topic. This is just a primer on the topic. So that being said, what exactly is a follow focus? Well, essentially, it is a focus control device. It has a little gear on it and some gears in there depending on the device. It has some gears on it, and it marries up to the lens gears on your lens to help control the focus of your lens. And it's usually more precise, more accurate, and more efficient to use than getting your hands all over the lens and focusing that way. Now, although not completely necessary to have like lights or good audio, a follow focus is one of those tools that just make your job so much easier, so much more convenient, more efficient, and more precise when you are focusing. So whether you're a first AC or a single operator of a camera, these follow focuses make life so much easier. Now, as I mentioned before, they are much more precise than just focusing by hand because you have those gears and typically a longer focus throw with these follow focuses. You're able to get much more precise and accurate focus. Additionally, you have much less of a chance of knocking your lens or something like that because your hand is always going to be off of a lens when you are using a follow focus. And another benefit of the follow focus is to create A/B points. Now, what I mean by that is creating hard stops between point A and point B. Now, if you have modern stills glass and you just want to be able to stop at minimum focus distance all the way to infinity focus, you can set your A/B points like that. Or if you are doing narrative work or something where you're racking between two different subjects and you need to rack focus and pull focus between the two, then you can do that as well. You can set A/B points that are between those minimum focus and infinity points to really get precise, accurate focus so that you have a really good idea and you know exactly where your mark is when you're racking and pulling focus. And additionally, with cinema lenses that have built-in focus gears, it's kind of difficult to pull focus and kind of uncomfortable to pull focus on those cinema lenses. Number one, cinema lenses typically have a much tighter focusing mechanism, not as loose as, say, a stills lens, and the focus gear rings are just kind of uncomfortable to turn. Additionally, the focus throw, meaning the point from infinity and how long it takes to rotate, or the distance it takes to rotate to minimum focus distance, is typically much larger than stills lenses. And so a follow focus really helps and aids to be able to focus that smoothly without having to crank and move your hand in all awkward positions and all that kind of stuff. Now, just like with anything, you can find budget options all the way up to really expensive options out there, but in this video, I'm just going to focus on more of the budget-friendly follow focus options. Having said that, the first follow focus I'm going to talk about is typically the more budget-friendly option that you can find out there. Now, you can find very expensive options out there as well, but typically you can find more budget-friendly options, which is the mechanical follow focus. So I have one right here on this rig right here, and this is a mechanical follow focus. It slides right onto a rail system, and it attaches directly to a lens. Although it's attached to a lens, you're still not directly touching the lens, but you do have to be a little bit more careful than some of the other options out there with regards to hitting your lens and all that kind of stuff. But just like I said here, it has these hard stop points right here, or your A/B points, and every time I turn the wheel right here, the focus wheel, it has a gear right here that turns the focus barrel of the lens. Great, well that's pretty much all I'm going to talk about with the mechanical follow focus, or old school, whatever you want to call it, follow focus. But moving on to another follow focus system is a wireless follow focus system. And here we have a wireless follow focus. focus. This one's made by a company called pdmovie. It's called the Live Air 2, but it's the same concept as the follow focus we just talked about. However, the main difference is the focus wheel is no longer attached to the actual focus gear mechanism. It's separated, so you can move this thing anywhere else you want. It's got a pretty long distance too, so if you're a first AC and you're pulling focus from another monitor that's stationary, you can do that with a wireless follow focus. Or if you just want to move this to a different part of your camera, or maybe you have it on a gimbal or something like that, you're able to still pull focus, except you can do it wirelessly. But as I mentioned, it's the same concept. You got a focus wheel here, and when you turn the focus wheel, it turns the focus gear, except it's just doing it wirelessly. Now, the one thing I really like about this system is this system right here is pretty much self-contained right here. It takes batteries that you can take out and charge, but there's no cable that runs to it, so you can have a really clean setup, and it's just really tiny. It packs down really small, so I mean, you can just always have it in your kit, and you can get extra batteries for this, so you're really not limited to battery life. You can just swap out the battery and keep on going. Okay, now the last system I'm going to talk about is this right here. This is the Tilt-a-Nucleus Nano. Well, this is just the focus wheel. The actual focus motor is on my camera right now, because that's what I use, especially for YouTube, and we'll get to the reason why here in a minute. Now, the main difference between this and the system I just talked about is the fact that the motor on the Nucleus Nano requires power input, either through DTAP or USB or something like that. I chose to get the DTAP cable because it sends a little bit more juice to the motor, so you can control bigger lenses and tougher lenses and stuff like that. But the other thing that I really like about the Nucleus Nano specifically is you can get another cable that goes from the motor to the camera, and you can actually trigger record, start and stop record from this little device. And this is super handy, not only for YouTube stuff, so I don't have to like get up and walk over to the camera and hit record, but also I keep this actually on the right side of my camera. It's an Ursa Mini, and I have it right here, and so my thumb is always right at the record button, so I don't have to have my hand's always going to naturally be here because I'm already racking and pulling focus, so I don't have to search for the record button anywhere else, so I can always keep my other hand on the top handle or at the base if it's in an easy rig or something like that, and I always have the ability to trigger record and pull and rack focus right in the same spot. This system and the system that I just talked about beforehand are around the same price, and I'll leave links to all that kind of stuff in the description below, but they are really, really convenient tools to have. So at its core, the follow focus is a focus wheel, and eventually there is a gear that attaches to the lens gears on a lens that changes the focus distance of the lens. Now, if your lens doesn't have focus gears, typically a lot of these follow focus systems that you buy will give you like these kind of universal lens gears that you kind of wrap around the lens and lock in, or you can get something like a seamless follow focus gear and kind of attach it semi-permanently to the lens. That's what I have on some of my lenses, and they're really nice to have because they're just kind of always there and you don't have to fiddle with them and all that kind of stuff. But again, at its core, the follow focus, you turn a wheel and it changes the focus without having to actually touch your lens, which has all kinds of benefits to it right there. Well, that is pretty much all I'm going to talk about with regards to follow focuses. If you found this video helpful, useful, or anything like that, definitely hit subscribe. That'd be really nice. Maybe hit that thumbs up or thumbs down if you didn't like it. Whatever floats your boat. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you use the old school type follow focus or maybe a wireless follow focus system. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.